I'm super happy because we're finally entering into cooler temperatures. And by cooler temperatures, I'm talking the low 90s. I know. It sure beats 105, 103. I'll take it. I'm finally able to take the dogs out in the morning for a nice long walk. It's been fantastic. And I'm thrilled we're entering winter because it means I get to do so many more things outside. You see that jet ski right there? I haven't taken her out a whole lot. Maybe just a couple times because it's been like 50 days, 100-degree weather, which finally we've broken that streak. But now that the better weather is coming, I'm definitely going to go enjoy the water. And personally, I think Lake Austin's like the best place to go nearby. There are other lakes about an hour away. There's Bastrop Lake, which is nice. There's Canyon Lake. There's just so many wonderful lakes around here. And unfortunately, a lot of them are half full or even less than half full. And all of the ramps in Lake Travis are closed, all the public docks, because there's not enough water. And most of the ramps in Canyon Lake are closed. So I guess I have to say I feel fortunate that I have a jet ski or a watercraft as opposed to that big boat that I used to have in Washington. Because what would I do, right? Anyway, so I'm looking forward to getting on the water more. And I want to jump on here just some real estate thoughts that I have too, because I think a lot of people are waiting for, I'm still hearing it. Oh, we're going to have a recession or the real estate market's going to tank and oh, prices are dropping. Well, of course, if the rates pushing 7%, yeah, it's putting a lot of downward pressure on properties, on pricing. So yes, you do see property reductions accordingly to the interest rates. And then number two is, in a lot of places they went up 40% just in a couple years or 50%. That's just because of the pandemic. So things are starting to, I guess, normalize, so to speak. What's going to happen next year? I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe there'll be some better interest rates, so to speak, maybe a little bit, maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't have a crystal ball. But I will say this, if the rates do go down, the prices are just going to come back up because you're going to have a lot more buyers who've been holding off on the market jump in. And sellers that were on the fence for moving, they're going to jump in the market. Because remember, right now, what I'm finding is when sellers are approaching me, they're like, yeah, Ricki, I've got 2.6% on my mortgage. And if I sell now, interest rates are 7%, 7 plus, right? So just some thoughts, but at the end of the day, people still need to move because death, divorce, relocation. Life happens, right? And as my parents say, is yeah, they bought their house at 9%, 12%. So, and I like to just think back. I'm like, yeah, but you bought that house for 130,000 in Silicon Valley. So don't give me that rate talk. That's just my 2 cents. Everything's more expensive when you go to the grocery store. It's easy to spend $100 and you're like, wait, this is like a half a bag full of groceries, right? So yeah, inflation's hit. Some places here in a lot of places in Austin, or even in actually, Texas, they're popular because it's lower price points than the bigger cities, the more expensive cities, and if people are remote working, they're going to be buying there. There's a lot of new construction happening everywhere, and so at the end of the day, people are still agree that in the long term, owning is better. Is renting okay? Maybe for a short time, and if you're new to a place and you're trying to figure it out. But if you can get in the market, get in. Right now is a great time because you don't have what we had before, which is 100K over and like 50 offers. So it's like a ball of wax, right? What would, if you had a crystal ball and knew what was going to happen in 2023, 2024, 2022, right? Those 3 years. And I said to you in 2020, okay, you have an opportunity to buy. Would you have bought then in 2020 before the pandemic hit? Would you have bought one or two or three properties? Because, they did go up 30, 40, 50%, depending on the metro you were at. But we don't have that crystal ball. But one thing we do know is at the end of the day, in the long term, property is a long-term investment. It is better to own property. If you're looking to invest in a price point that you can afford, whether it's, in the 300s or $1 million range, I can definitely point you in the right direction, whether it's just outside of the Austin metro, maybe in other popular markets like El Paso or McAllen, Texas, or Dallas, Fort Worth, so that you can get in and invest on a property. Let's talk. I'd love to help you build your rental portfolio. And if you're looking for yourself, I can definitely point you in the right directions. So yeah, sure. In general, Austin did have some price adjustments, but that doesn't mean every zip code did. Some zip codes actually went up year over year. So market knowledge is very important, and real estate is hyper local, kind of like a microclimate. You might have thunder and storm in this part of the city, but just a little further down, it's sunshine, right? And maybe a little further down the valley, it's desert and dry. So real estate has microclimates, and understanding what's happening in those particular zip codes and price points, well, that's where the value that I bring to the table helps you. I did have an experience. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had some buyers, had a lot of cash, $1 million or more. And so they've been renting for the past couple of years here in Austin to visit family, and they're still in the process of selling their home. It's been on the market for a while, and of course, hopefully they'll reduce the price so that they can sell it. But at the end of the day, I did write one offer with them, and it was substantially lower than the asking price. And okay, fine. The research that I did showed that particular zip code actually went up 5% year over year. So they were like, wait a second, this property's been on the market for 65 days. The seller needs to be realistic. And of course, sure, if your property has been on the market for a long time, it always comes down to price, right? Because the house was nice. It wasn't perfect, needed new carpet. It needed upgrading as far as the countertops. It was the older granite that didn't even match, and it was really thin. But otherwise, it was a newer home, really nice. So sure, there could have been some meeting of the minds, maybe a middle place, but neither my buyer was willing to come up enough, nor the seller was willing to come down enough to meet in the middle. It was just too far apart. For this particular seller, they countered just, lowering it just slightly, which, obviously the deal didn't happen. My buyers were still interested in that. So at the end of the day, you may not like what you hear from your agent, but we are doing the background work on finding out what's going to get you what you need. Whether you use me or somebody else, the facts are the facts, right? Is a seller willing to work with a buyer in this market? Absolutely. But also, the buyers have to realize, you're not going to get deep discounts. Sure, your agent can help you negotiate a realistic price to get that property, all within all within, reasonable adjustments, of course, for the property conditions, the market conditions, etc. So yeah, the other thing too is for a lot of you who've been waiting to get in the market, if you don't have that 20% down, I know you're thinking, okay, great. I'm gonna have to pay the private mortgage insurance, which could be $150 to $250 a month in addition to your mortgage, right? So your lender can say, okay, you can pay that, or what you could do is pay a quarter point more, and buy out the private mortgage insurance. In my situation, when I purchased my new townhome for $500,000, I did not have 20% down, so I chose not to buy out the rate because I figured by the time I pay off that $8,000, I just thought, no, I don't want to. I didn't have that $8,000 to buy it down. First of all, I didn't want to roll it into the loan. And number two is I'm glad I didn't, because at the end of the day, what happened is, the property appreciated quite a bit more, and I sold the house. What I did find though, because this was an FHA, no, actually it was a 5% down loan. When I contacted Penny Mac and I said, hey, look, the comps show that my property has 20% equity or more even. Here's the comps. They said, nope, sorry, it's been less than 2 years. We're not even going to look at it. So that was something really interesting. I was upset. I was like, okay, great. That means that if I want to get rid of my private mortgage insurance, basically, even though I know in this market my property is worth, X amount, and I have that 20% equity, I have to wait and keep paying it down until, they say it's okay. Even though there is a process that I could have filed for paperwork to have them do an internal appraisal, so to speak. But I did not find that process easy to do. So just an FYI. I know I kind of rambled and talk about all kinds of stuff because there's just so much to talk about. So I'm going to be heading over to a real estate agent safety training. September is real estate agent safety month, and that's really important because, it's sad to say in this society, you do have to be careful, and it's always better to err on the side of caution. So as a person who hosts open houses, I'm going to learn how to be safe if I'm by myself at an open house. And some agents choose to carry a weapon, which is legal in Texas and in many states. Some agents choose to take self-defense training. Some agents like to have other agents with them, and they'll never do an open house alone, which is great. So anyways, I'm going to go learn some new things, make some connections, network, and so forth. And hopefully you're having a fantastic week. Thanks for jumping in.